Everybody, it is 10 o'clock on the dot on a Tuesday, and if it's hurricane season at 10 a.m., that means it's time to track the tropics. From sunny Central Florida, I'm WESH 2 meteorologist Eric Burris.
And from Savannah, Georgia, I'm WJCL 22 Chief Meteorologist Jeremy Nelson.
So, Jeremy, we obviously have something to track, and not just something to track, but more than likely something that's going to get going. This is Invest 98 probably becomes Melissa later today, and that satellite presentation is really, really healthy.
Yeah, and I also saw the hurricane hunters are headed out there today, so we'll start getting some real time data with this. And as you mentioned, pretty easy to pick out where the developing tropical system is located. And they said the winds are already right around 45 miles per hour. So I think they're just waiting to get confirmation of the center circulation.
Yeah. So just looking at this, their ATSC data shows at 8 a.m. the winds are at 50 miles an hour. Yeah. And so
Okay.
the radar data out of Curacao definitely shows a low level center developing. And that's why the Hurricane Center basically at 8 a.m. said that there is a near 100% chance that this not only develops, but develops either today or certainly into tomorrow. And as you had mentioned, Jeremy, yes, the hurricane hunters are out. There are three scheduled missions that are set. The first one is set to go out in just a little while, as a matter of fact. That's going to depart the ABC Islands. I saw them repositioned yesterday at 12:45. So, kind of bottom of the hour lunchtime, and then they'll be in the storm system basically 3:30 all the way through about 6:30 or so. And then looking at tonight, there's kind of a survey of the atmosphere around it, and tomorrow morning they'll be on station from about 7 a.m. to 1:30. This is going to do some significant assisting to the computer models because at this moment the computer models are not exactly dialed into the forecast.
No, they're kind of all over the place, and they still continue to shift. We've seen it go from, hey, it's going to go west, it'll go northeast, no, it's going to stall, then it's going to turn to, you can kind of take any of those solutions, and I guess they're still a little bit on the table.
Right. So this is the model spread, and obviously there, you see some of them working over toward Belize, Honduras, Central America. You see some of them recurving to the right. This is difficult. There's a lot of ingredient work here. So first off, what would be steering this? Well, while it's kind of gradually developing and then perhaps lifting to the north, there are cold fronts diving through the deep south through Florida, Georgia, through the Gulf, and that is going to, we think, eventually pick this up and throw it out to the Atlantic. But timing is everything, and this is where it gets to be so difficult, right? So, one thing, Jeremy, let's look at the consensus, okay? So, each of these yellow lines is the consensus of all of the tropical models, okay? And notice they have been fairly tight in agreement on positioning. The most recent one, the 12Z run, which basically is the 8 a.m. Eastern time run, has been a little further west, but not significant, right? Not something to say that this is a massive shift, but definitely consistency on a very sluggish moving system lifting up toward the north and eventually northeast.
So the end of that yellow line that you see there, where it dips and then wants to go northeast, is that 5 days, I assume?
That's about, yeah, yep, that's about that.
Okay, so we're looking into this weekend.
Yeah, yep,
Okay. So yeah, that has been shifting a little bit more to the west, and I know you don't have it up here, but even like the Google Deep Mind,
right.
some of the other ensembles, which we'll get to, have also trended, I would say, a little bit more to the west, or they kind of sneak it up that direction, pause it, maybe dip it a little west, and then swing it northeast. So this is a tricky track, and I think once, whether it's 11 a.m. or 5 p.m. or whatever, whenever we get an actual track from the National Hurricane Center, might be kind of a large cone.
Well, and the struggle though, right, is that the cone width is based on track error from years past. So their forecast struggle is going to be the confidence level on this. This I think is such a clear reason as to why this is so tricky. Okay, this is the water vapor or the kind of steering currents on the American model. Okay, the green on the bottom, that is Invest 98. The orange that you see on the top, that's kind of some dry air. And watch how that next cold front moves in, picks up Invest 98. And this is by Friday. The GFS is like, boop, we're going to move it and it's going to be quick, right? That's the American GFS model. The European model could not be any more different if it tried. Watch, this is Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Notice how it just sits there. And then into next week, that's Monday, Tuesday, October 27th, October 28th. That's when the dry air, the next cold front, will pick it up and move it through. So the dynamics on these different models, while the overall ingredients are the same, the timing is it could not be further apart. And that is going to make this forecast very, very difficult.
Yeah, and one thing though, so far this has not really started to move much to the north.
Right.
This has been kind of just consistently moving in this westerly direction. So to get some of these models to verify, it would almost have to stop and just absolutely turn due north.
I mean, that's like let's just face it, it's not going to do that. We know
Right.
weaker goes west. Now it's starting to look better and better on satellite presentation, so one would suspect that it will start to make that adjustment, right? But in the meantime, until it does, it's moving technically to the west at 14 miles an hour. It has slowed. Yesterday was 20, what, 22, 23 miles an hour, something like that.
Yeah. So I mean, that's still pretty far down to the south of Hispaniola,
Yep.
and some models like the graph model, which some people know still as the IBM, that one had it turning very quickly to the north. I would say that was a bit more of an outlier when you compare it to other ones. Again, that model will be updating just after 11 a.m. Eastern time, so we'll get a fresh take on that. But I don't know if any one model has a real good handle on this at the moment.
No, no. This is that futurecast model that you were talking about, Jeremy. And look how by Thursday early, it's already approaching Hispaniola and then kind of lifting. Honestly, it kind of brings it to its knees over the island. Which that's another piece of this puzzle too. Is let's not forget the terrain that's on Cuba and on Jamaica and on the Dominican Republic and Haiti. For example, Pico Duarte, the tallest mountain in the entire Caribbean, is on Hispaniola. It's 10,000 feet tall. So we call this area the hurricane graveyard because when systems, especially, systems that are not terribly organized, when those systems go over this terrain, it really breaks them apart. And so there's kind of that's twofold. First off, it keeps their intensity a bit lower, but it also makes for big concerns for like flooding and mudslides and things like that. Take a look at, and again, this is going to be that futurecast model. Look at some of the rainfall data here. And Jeremy, I mean, this is a terrible scenario that would play out. This is basically showing parts of Hispaniola with 2 feet of rain over the next couple of days, potentially.
Yeah, and pending the wind direction, you can get that enhancement with the elevation, some
Yep.
upsloping, which aids in rain development. So yeah, there could be some hefty totals there. We'll have to see how close that low gets. If it would continue a little bit more west and then decide to go northwest, that would cut down on some of these rain totals. So that's something we're hoping for there. But obviously, someone in the Caribbean is probably going to get a little too much rain.
Yeah, and we know unfortunately the way that that plays out just historically the folks that are on these islands here, it's not like they have the ability to go evacuate a ton of places, and even if they do,
Right.
for some of them it's just an infrastructure issue. So yeah, that would be a very, very big worry for them. But nevertheless, the overall idea is that at least it is not a major hurricane. So there's that also to watch, right? This is the intensity model plots. And of course, we'll wait to get more information from the National Hurricane Center. But it does look like, Jeremy, that the National Hurricane Center does initiate advisories on Tropical Storm Melissa at 11 o'clock. So that's kind of what we're hearing right now, which makes sense. So looks like by 11 o'clock, we'll probably have ourselves that tropical storm.
Okay. All right. So that would be the 13th named storm
Yep.
so far this season. 14 is average. So looks like we're trending. Uh, I think we'll probably at least sneak in one more named storm somewhere along the way. There's usually a surprise or so in November. But yeah, this is looking very healthy at the moment on the IR. Again, once the hurricane hunters go in there, they kind of do the biopsy. They give us the X-rays, and then we can see what's going on inside. But
Yep.
just looking top down right now, that certainly is looking much stronger.
So yeah, so just in National Hurricane Center initiating advisories on tropical storm Melissa. That's official now. I started to see some rumblings of it, but that is official now.
Okay, so no more specifics than that. Let me call it up here too, so I have
Yeah.
it. And
Yeah. So, and I mean, it makes sense. What'll be interesting though is their overall forecast. That's going to be the big one. That's going to be the big part. Do they go a little more? What's going to end up happening? I mean, it's going to split the difference in both timing and position of the GFS and the Euro. So if we look at those model trends, and we can do that. Let me do this. Let's just look at. We'll pop up raw data here, and let's look at. We'll start with the GFS, and we'll look at wind gust mile per hour. Okay, so the GFS takes it over basically the Dominican Republic Haiti border and then lifts it to the north by Tuesday. So it makes landfall. GFS has it landfalling late Thursday and then hanging around Thursday through Monday, pulling away. Whereas the European keeps it around the Caribbean and stalls it basically near Jamaica. Wow, look at that, just sitting there. Isn't that something? And that's through Monday. So I
that's
do
what
not envy.
model?
That's the European. The new 60 European. I do not envy the National Hurricane Center having to make this forecast cone because their most reliable models are so opposite each other here.
Yes, it is a tricky forecast, and this may be one of those where once the track does come out, you're going to see a few forecast positions where this almost doesn't even move.
Yeah, I would suspect so, even because both models are slow. And it's just because we're going to be between fronts. So this is the GFS ensembling. So notice, and I'm gonna go through a couple of different looks. But first off, these are all the low locations. So this is Thursday 11 a.m. So this is basically tomorrow. This is 11 p.m. Thursday. This is Friday, 11 a.m. Notice they're kind of spreading. Some of these ensemble members are going west, some of these are going north. So even the GFS, if you look, it almost looks like even the GFS is kind of in this two camp system, right?
Yeah, I'm real curious to see what this cone will look like when it comes out.
It's when you're forecasting systems that don't have significant steering and don't have an intensity element to them already, forecasting becomes very, very difficult. So that's the GFS. So look, I mean, case in point, this is Tuesday. You've got half the GFS ensemble members around Bermuda and half of them around um, you know Nicaragua. It's like,
Right.
geez.
So yeah, this is a tricky one. So yeah, okay. Go to the European. That was a GFS, right?
Yep. So that's the GFS. Let's re-rack this. I'll switch over to the European ensemble. And the European, so this is Thursday. This is Thursday morning, 8 a.m. This is Friday morning, 8 a.m. Not moving a ton, but some of those ensemble members are moving. But that's Sunday morning, 8 a.m. There's Monday that's Monday at 2 a.m. One is out near Bermuda, one is over near Central America, and that's as far as the 6Z goes. We go over to the 0Z, and then they kind of all funnel out. Notice though, I do want to point out this is as far out. Let me go to the end of the 6Z. So this is as far out as the 6Z goes. Look at the same time frame one model or one ensemble run back. Okay. It was a little tighter and a little further west, one ensemble run back. We go to the current one and it's more spread out. So to me, if anything, the European is less dialed into where this would go in the future versus more.
Right. And I obviously for people watching us here, their questions are, hey, what about Florida or the southeast coast or
Right.
areas like that? So I would say at the moment, concern would be on the very low side
Yep.
for any of our areas. However, some of those ensembles, if it does happen to get to the Western Caribbean, something could start tugging in a little bit more to the north. So we're
Right.
not really seeing that right now, but that is just something with right now with a lot of uncertainty that just keep an eye on.
Right. And what we're looking at here, by the way, just for anybody that's watching, this is the Euro AI modeling, which is so interesting. It basically, instead of progressing forward, it just spreads out, right? And again, steering currents are weak. Cold fronts are moving into the southeastern United States. This makes for a particularly difficult forecast from the National Hurricane Center. So once their forecast starts coming out, yeah, that's going to be an interesting one, Jeremy, to watch. So Casper's asking, can you please discuss the high pressure ridge over the Gulf, southeast United States, and how that influences the westward track if it doesn't track to Hispaniola?
I would have to see a surface map or something that,
So,
or upper level ridge
yeah.
or whatever.
Well, so let's just look at the GFS, and what I'll do is I'll pop up the water vapor, the simulated water vapor, right?
Okay.
So essentially, we have cold fronts. So what happens here, if you watch, this is Friday of this week. The American model says that this cold front that'll be moving through our areas the next couple of days picks it up and pulls it away, right? Whereas the European says it's going to get trapped south of this front. This front does not pick it up. It's going to be the next front next week that picks it up. So it all depends on timing and location. And in reality, it's going to be the strengthening of the system at the end of the day.
Yep. It's tricky. I mean, there's fronts out there. You have your upper level flow, and it's tricky for us, and it's tricky obviously for forecast models when we're showing ensembles that are a few days from now and
Right.
they're completely split.
Right. So that's why we look for model trends, and that's where this comes in. That's the consensus model, which basically just takes all the other ones, puts together one line. That's the consensus of the last 6 runs. And so to that point, we have seen a nudge west, but it has not been a significant one. It's all very, very close. So I think that, trends are your friends. Remember that, right? Consistency breeds confidence in tracking anything, let alone the tropics. So for now, okay, so there's a nudge west. We'll wait and see. This was the 12Z run. We'll wait and see what the 18Z run has later, and we'll watch the trends. And again, I think the biggest factor here is going to be what is said once the recon missions start a little later on today.
I think that will help a lot in some of the forecasts moving forward.
Yep.
Maybe not here initially, but if they're out there this afternoon, hopefully maybe any early evening or for sure the zero Z suite of models that come in
Yep.
will benefit from that data. And then that'll just kind of start to snowball, and we'll get a much better idea by this time tomorrow morning.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So anyway, that's kind of where we're at, my friends. The good news is that at the moment there's no like big threats, right? Like we know there's going to be a big rain event to someone in the Caribbean, but to your community, to my community, Jeremy, we're not discussing, boarding up homes or anything like that. Definitely need to
Right.
watch this. The threat is not zero, but at the moment, at least, model trends are looking good, and that is a comforting element.
Yeah, so that right there is Melissa as of 11 a.m.
Yep.
coming up from the National Hurricane Center. So that will be the M name. And then name 14 is Nestor. We don't have any candidates for that at the moment in the Atlantic Basin. So I'll tell you what, though, this storm is over some of the warmest water we have anywhere out there right now. Plenty of fuel to work with. So we'll see if this would happen to strengthen maybe a little quicker than some models are anticipating.
And that's a good point. We've also not had systems, think about it, all season long in the Caribbean or in the Gulf. So this is really untouched environment for the entire season, which that's wild just to think. I mean, what? There was the one B storm actually, now that I think about it, right?
Barry.
Right? There was one, but nothing like developing like this. It was a very
Correct.
quick deal.
Yep. So this is something obviously we're going to take pretty close note of for maybe some longer range forecasting down the road. We're
Yep.
probably just more curious at this point to see, does it go a little more west, or is it going to swing up to the northeast? So as long as it stays away from the U.S., not wishing it on anyone down there, but we don't need any of these headaches down your direction, especially.
Yeah.
My water temperature has cooled significantly, so
Thank you.
if something would be off the southeast or east coast, I think it'd be a weakening system pretty quickly.
Right, right. And Cam Tran just found it was Barry in the Gulf. So
Yep.
yeah. There you go. All right. So that's kind of where we're at. So T. Martinez, I guess Florida is safe. Listen, it's too early to throw that out there. I would say I like what I'm seeing, but it's not over, right? Ensemble members are still showing some members with scraping the United States. I like what I'm seeing, but I'm not done watching this, if that makes sense. So I think that's the best way to look at it, right, Jeremy?
Yeah, I think so. I'm a little up in the air what I'm going to do with my trip on Thursday
Yeah,
to the
well,
Caribbean.
okay. Share that, right? You're a meteorologist dealing with the same thing that so many of our friends here that join us have to deal with. Share that.
Yeah, I think my dog heard me. He's like, "You got to stay here." He's barking now, but yeah, I'm supposed to take a trip coming up on Thursday, so I'll have to decide probably here later today or tomorrow. I mean, do I want to travel and deal with clouds and rain and some breezy conditions at minimum? Not really. If forecast improves, maybe I'll end up going.
Hey, it also goes to show that even meteorologists have to deal with the weather, and the problem is that while you were asking like, hey, how's the trip forecast for me? I'm going to the Bahamas or whatever. Like for us, we don't have to just worry about if it's going to be cloudy and rainy where we want to go on vacation. It's is there a hurricane where we have to stay here and actually work because work comes first, fortunately or
Right?
unfortunately.
Yes. So, all right. Well, sounds like my dog is not going to stop working
Yep.
here.
All right. To be continued. Anyway, thank you, Jeremy. And if we need to pop on and do another Tracking the Tropics this week, we will do that. But for
Maybe
now,
I'll do it on location.
yes.
It is possible.
As long as you have internet. Do we need
Okay.
to get you a Starlink dish?
Yes.
All right, to be continued. Thank you, Jeremy. From Central Florida, I'm West 2 meteorologist Eric Burris.
And in Savannah, Georgia, I'm WJCL 22 Chief Meteorologist Jeremy Nelson.
See
Take
you,
care.
buddy.